She stood trembling in the dust, ribs showing, voice hoarse, as she whispered the unthinkable. "You can have my body, just feed me." The crowd turned away, faces hard, hearts colder. No one moved, until one human stepped forward. He didn't leer. He didn't take. He simply knelt beside her and said, "You don't have to give anything. You deserve to live." That moment changed everything, for her, for him, and for what it meant to be human in a galaxy that had forgotten mercy. The market square buzzed with trade, voices raised over crates of dry grains and crates of glimmering tech salvage. Aliens from all corners of the galaxy passed by in woven shawls, flaking uniforms, or ragged skinsuits. Amid them she crouched, knees folded to her chest, arms wrapped tight around her starved frame. Her bones jutted out against her scaled skin, once lustrous, now dulled and cracked with grime. Her eyes, those wide shimmering orbs unique to her kind, had stopped blinking hours ago. Not from shock anymore. Just exhaustion. The overhead sun bore down, merciless. Each beam of heat pressed into her skin like punishment. Her tongue stuck to the roof of her mouth. Her stomach had long since stopped growling, it had surrendered. Her mind too. But her voice, it still worked. Barely. A group of traders strolled by, laughing. She lifted her head. Her voice cracked. "I'll do anything. You can have me. For food, just one meal." One of the traders glanced down, horns curling like burnt branches, then smirked and kept walking. Another group, uniformed and clean, eyed her without stopping. Her voice rasped again. "Please. You can take me. All of me. I won't stop you." No reply. Just silence. It had been 3 days. 3 days without food, longer without shelter. The ship she'd arrived on, burned out of orbit by scavengers. Her people, either dead, enslaved, or hiding. She was alone. And hunger was a predator that whispered horrible bargains. She hadn't always been like this. Her name, she still remembered it, was Ryla. Born to the crystal colonies of Ellerin III, daughter of a speaker priestess and a stargazer. She had sung in the rain gardens. She had danced beneath the twin moons. That life, washed away by fire and screams. Now, on this trade world, this pit of heat and metal, she was just another starving mouth. Just another body too weak to beg properly. "Food," she whispered, mouth thick and dry. "Please. I'll warm your cot. I'll do anything." No one heard her. No, someone did. A boot stopped beside her. Dust shifted. A shadow fell across her trembling form. She didn't look up, couldn't. But then, water. A metal flask touched her lips. Her mouth opened without thought. Cool liquid slid over her tongue and her throat spasmed in joy. She coughed, choked, but drank again. Her hands gripped the flask like a sacred relic. Then the voice. Male. Rough, but not cruel. Slow. "You'll make yourself sick." She blinked. Her head tilted. A human. Mid-30s. Brown skin weathered by travel. Gray in his stubble. A simple shirt, sleeves rolled, cargo vest stuffed with gear. His eyes, green clear, met hers without flinching. "Here." He passed a protein bar into her hands. It looked plain, but to Ryla, it shone like a jewel. She devoured it, sobbing. He watched, then knelt. "What's your name?" Her voice shook. "Ryla." "I'm Matt." He stood and offered a hand. She stared, uncertain. "Why?" she whispered. Matt didn't answer with words. He pulled off his pack, slung it down beside her, and began pulling out a ration pack, water pods, a spare blanket. He moved like someone used to emergencies. Not rushing, but focused. "Can you walk?" he asked. She tried. Her legs buckled. He caught her before she hit the ground. His arm went around her waist. "All right. I got you." He carried her, not like cargo, not like a prize, but gently. As if she were glass. As if she mattered. They moved through the alleys beyond the square, away from the sneers and stares. He took her to a small shelter tucked between steel walls, bare bones but clean. Inside was a cot, a folding table and a solar heater. No frills. Just survival. He laid her down, adjusted a pillow behind her head, and dimmed the light. "Rest." She blinked up at him. "You didn't take anything." Matt pulled up a chair. "Didn't want anything." "Then why?" Her voice trembled. His face softened. "Because no one should have to trade their dignity to eat. That's not how it's supposed to be." She tried to understand. No deal? No price? You're safe here, he said. Just rest. We'll figure the rest out after you're fed. She slept. The first real sleep in weeks. When she woke, there was soup, simple but warm. Matt helped her sit, spooned it to her lips with care. She wept again, not because of the food, but because he didn't look at her the way others had. Not as meat. Not as a transaction. When her strength returned, so did her questions. Why help me? She asked again. Matt leaned back. Because I've been left behind too. Different place, different war. Doesn't matter. I swore if I ever had enough to help someone, really help, I would. And you chose me? I didn't choose you, he said. You were there. That's all it takes. She stared at him, trying to find the trick, the angle. But he just sipped tea and nodded at her plate. Eat more. Your skin and bones. In the days that followed, Ryla began to change. Slowly. Her skin, once cracked, began to glow faintly again as her body mended. Her voice grew stronger. She started asking questions. Helping tidy the shelter. Then smiling. One evening, while they sat watching the dusk light filter through the slats, she asked, "Do I belong here?" Matt looked at her. "You belong anywhere you're treated right." She touched her own wrist, where chains had once dug in. "I've never been treated like this." "You deserve it." Silence. Then, "I thought I was nothing," she whispered. "Just something to be used." "You're not." "But I offered myself, for food." "You were starving." "That's not shame, it's survival." "But no one came, except you." He nodded. "One was enough." Her voice broke. "You saved me." Matt didn't reply. He reached over, set his hand gently over hers, and squeezed once. She gripped it tightly, like a lifeline. They didn't speak of love. Not yet. This wasn't that kind of story. Not yet. But something bloomed between them, not hunger, not desperation, but quiet companionship. Trust built brick by brick. One night, thunder cracked over the shelter. Rain slammed the roof. Ryla stirred in her cot, eyes wide, breath shallow. "Storms," she muttered. "That's how it started. My colony, first the lightning, then the slavers." Matt came to her side, sat down. "It's just rain." She curled into him without asking. He didn't move. Just wrapped his arms around her. She shook for minutes, then stilled. His presence like a shield. In the morning, she didn't leave his side. Not that day. Or the next. They fell into rhythm. He scavenged. She cooked. They repaired old comms and filtered water. A strange peace, between two lost souls who no longer felt alone. But peace never lasted long. 3 patrol drones buzzed over the shelter 2 weeks later. Matt saw them first. Ryla stiffened. "They scan for undocumented refugees," she whispered. "They'll take me." Matt was already packing. "Then we move." "But you'll lose your permit, your shelter." "Doesn't matter." She stared. "Why would you throw it all away?" "Because I'd rather be on the run with someone who matters, than safe in a world that throws people like you away." That night, they left the shelter. Took what they could. Traveled through back alleys, boarded smuggler shuttles. Ryla disguised her markings. Matt paid bribes. They crossed 2 sectors before stopping on a backwater planet with green hills and a sky filled with slow moons. There, they built again. This time, Ryla chose the spot. She planted herbs near the porch. Laughed when rain fell. Cooked her people's food and taught Matt to hum old Ellerin songs. And one night, weeks later, she stood at the door of their small cabin. Her voice was quiet. "Matt." He looked up. She stepped closer, eyes glowing in the moonlight. "Do you want me?" He blinked. "Ryla." "Not because I offered. Not because you fed me. But now. Because I choose it." Matt rose slowly. "Only if you do." She touched his chest. "I do." He pulled her close. Not in hunger, but in care. And when they kissed, it wasn't a transaction. It was the start of something human. Something whole. Something worth saving. They didn't speak of love in the first weeks after that night. Not because it wasn't there, but because it was fragile, still growing, still wrapping itself around the broken roots of their pasts. Ryla would wake sometimes in the early dawn, gasping, trembling, memories of fire and chains still fresh. And Matt would be there, steady as always, holding her hand, brushing the sweat from her temples, whispering, "You're here now, it's gone." Their cabin was modest, reclaimed wood, patchy solar panels, salvage tech barely holding the water heaters together. But it was theirs. She etched her name above the doorpost in the glyphs of her people. Matt wrote his below in blocky Terran script. And that strange union, alien and human pain and peace, became their new foundation. Ryla planted again, deep blue vines from memory, wild herb shoots native to this world, a small patch of dull grass that shimmered under moonlight. Every morning, she knelt by the beds, hands in soil, humming songs no one else remembered. Every evening, she cooked, no longer ration mush, but real food, spiced roots and broths that made Matt raise his eyebrows in delight. She'd glance across the table, watching him eat like he hadn't tasted joy in years, and she'd smile. A quiet smile. One that said, "I'm not starving anymore." And neither was he. Still, they kept to themselves. This world, green and quiet though it was, wasn't free of danger. Traders came through sometimes. Rumors drifted with them. The refugee patrols were expanding again. Old slave rings were reorganizing. And Matt was a man with no clean record. Ex-soldier. Deserted after the burnings. He never talked about it, but some nights when the wind howled, Ryla would find him outside the cabin. Silent, watching the stars like they owed him an answer. One evening, a trader stopped by. Human, rough-bearded, lean-eyed. He traded tools for dried herbs and shared a bottle of shine. His gaze lingered too long on Ryla. "You don't see many of her kind around here," he said, swigging. "Not alive anyway." Matt's hand tightened around his cup. The man grinned. "She yours?" Ryla froze. Matt said nothing for a moment, then replied, "She's with me." There was something final in the way he said it, something that made the trader's grin falter. He didn't stay long after that. Later that night, Ryla sat on the porch, knees drawn to her chest. "Did you mean it?" she asked. Matt sat beside her, brow furrowed. "Mean what?" "That I'm with you." He looked at her, serious, quiet. "Yes. Even if someone comes looking? Even if it costs you?" He didn't hesitate. "It already has. And I'd do it again." Ryla leaned into him, her cheek pressed against his shoulder. "Then I'll stay." Weeks passed. The garden bloomed. They fixed the roof. Matt even built a second cot, for when guests visit, he joked, but they both knew it was for something else. Something not yet spoken. It was mid-season when the fever came. Ryla collapsed while tending the vines. Her body shook uncontrollably. Her skin, always radiant, dimmed to a sickly gray. Matt rushed her inside, cooled her head, crushed herbs into paste, filtered every drop of water twice. But the fever didn't break. She moaned in her sleep, called out to names long gone. Her limbs twitched. Her breath grew shallow. Matt didn't sleep for 2 days. He tore through every medpack, every datapad. Nothing matched. Nothing helped. The fever wasn't Terran, it was Ellerin. And he was out of his depth. He climbed 3 ridges to reach the smuggler camp. "Please," he begged the medic. "She's burning. I don't know what to do." The smuggler, an older woman with eyes like chips of obsidian, squinted. "Ellerin fever needs starroot. You're lucky, might be some left in the swamps. But it's deep. Dangerous." Matt didn't flinch. "Where?" She handed him a map. "Hope you're quick. She's got maybe 2 days." He ran. Through brambles, through mist, through biting insects and rising bogwater. He didn't stop, not when his lungs screamed, not when a marsh stalker chased him for half a mile. He found the starroot, dug it out with bleeding fingers, clutched it like salvation. When he returned, she was barely breathing. He boiled the root. Fed her the brew in drops. Sat with her through the night, praying, begging, whispering stories, singing songs in broken Ellerin, brushing sweat from her brow. And then, her breathing steadied. She opened her eyes. "You look awful," she rasped. Matt laughed, sobbing. "You're one to talk." She reached up, weak fingers tracing his cheek. "You came back. Always." From that day, she never doubted. And something changed. Ryla began to glow again, not just her skin, but her voice, her movement, the way she looked at him. Something had anchored her. Not survival, something more. "I've been thinking," she said one afternoon, as they worked the soil. Matt glanced over. She hesitated, then stood. "You saved me. Fed me. Protected me. And when I was dying, you ran through hell." "Ryla." She stepped close. "You never asked for anything in return. Never made me feel less. I didn't do it to get anything." "I know." Her hand touched his chest. "That's why I want to give you everything." He stared. She smiled. If you want me, truly, I'm yours. Matt's voice was low. Always have. That night, under the silver moons, they became more than survivors. More than housemates. More than friends. They became partners. A month passed. And then, Ryla placed his hand on her belly. He blinked. Is that? She nodded. Tears shimmered in her eyes. It's yours. Matt sat down hard. Stunned. Then, he laughed. Then cried. Then wrapped her in his arms and whispered, "We're not just saving each other anymore." They built a third cot. This one smaller. Crude at first, but full of love. News traveled. A few kind locals helped, old farmers, quiet scavengers. They brought blankets, spare milk packs, even a medbot held together with duct tape and luck. The day the baby came, Ryla screamed once, then bit down and pushed through with the force of stars. Matt held her hand the whole time. When the child emerged, quiet, glowing, perfect, both of them wept. A daughter. Half human. Half Fellerin. With eyes like deep forest pools and tiny scaled patches at her temples. They named her Leary. The first weeks were hard, nights without sleep, days without peace. But they faced it together. Leary's laughter became the rhythm of their days. Her cries became their battle anthem. Her first smile, Matt would say, was worth every bruise, every scar. One morning, as Leary napped, Ryla whispered, "Do you ever regret it? Giving everything up for me?" Matt looked at her, brushed hair from her face. "I didn't give up anything. I found everything." She leaned in, kissed him slow. "Then I'm glad no one else answered." Matt grinned. Fools, the lot of them. And as the wind swept through their garden, as their daughter slept safe between them, as stars blinked above the roof of the home they built with calloused hands and open hearts, Ryla, once a starving outcast, once a body too weak to stand, sat wrapped in the arms of the only one who saw her worth. Not as a bargain. Not as a burden. But as a woman, a partner, and now, the mother of something new. The world could keep its cruelty. They had something better. They had each other.